Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Law of Attraction Roundtable. I'm your host, Gary Temple Bodley, and today we're going to do another article. This article is called The Monster and the Angel. And what we do in this conversation, or what I do, I'm here by myself here in my home office, and I'm going to read an article from Joshua. I'm going to read it paragraph by paragraph, and then between the paragraphs, I'll give you my 2 cents and see if we can't dig deeper into these things. I'm really interested now in audiobooks and listening to podcasts and even watching videos, and I'm not that into reading as much as I used to be. Maybe that's being lazy, but I seem to get a little more out of it when I can see someone talking, or when I can be at the gym and listen to a podcast, and I really am able to download that information. And so what we're doing here is that we're having an experience. And in each experience, as a result of that experience, we change, we raise our vibration because we bring in new information. And so the more new information you bring in, the more your vibration changes, the more you see things from new perspectives. And really that is what growth is all about. And so as we learn to see things from higher and higher perspectives, then we raise our vibration and become a physical or a match with what we truly desire. And so in this series, we'll just take certain articles and we'll have fun with them and see where it goes. If you like this concept, then leave me a message wherever you're listening to this, post a comment, subscribe to this, that'd be great. And more people will see it. Last one we did, which was called Which In-Game Mode Are You In, was really popular. So that was a lot of fun to do. Okay, so let's get started. The Monster and the Angel. We have discussed the idea that you live your entire life within the confines of a very small box. Inside that box are enough things to keep you occupied and distracted from whatever lies outside the box. And because you perceive that a monster lives in the shadows outside your box, you dare not venture out. It's too scary outside your box. You have built up some courage in the past, and you have ventured outside your box only to incur the monster's wrath. That interaction caused some pain, so you withdrew into your box in order to protect yourself from the monster. So we all live inside our comfort zone. We all live inside this box, this perceived safety. And when we get inspiration or an idea to do something new or try something, well, just the thought of that brings up fear. Because every time we've ever tried to do something new, we've run the risk of failure, or we've run the risk of negative emotion. It's that negative emotion that we want to avoid. But truly, do we really want to avoid it? Well, the negative emotion is nothing more than letting you know that you're looking at your life from a limited perspective, and your inner self is looking at your life from the higher perspective. And so that's called a disconnect in alignment. You're out of alignment when you are perceiving something to fear or some kind of danger. And you're in alignment when you're feeling good. When you're in alignment, you're in line or in aligned with your inner self's perspective on your life. Okay. The monster appears anytime you move outside your comfort zone. Whenever you attempt something new, the monster appears and causes you pain. However, that monster does not live outside your box and has no power to cause you any pain. It is only in your perception that the monster exists and your belief that the monster bestows some amount of pain on anyone who is foolish enough to leave their box that causes it to exist at all. In fact, there is no monster. There is only a wonderful and beautiful guiding angel. Okay, so what Joshua is saying here is that this fear, whatever the subject of your fear is, it's not real. It's an illusion. And how does it come to be such an illusion? Well, because you have a limiting belief, and we all have a bunch of limiting beliefs. And the limiting belief is what causes us to perceive danger. And when a limiting belief is triggered, well, we feel fear. Now, you may know the term manifestation events. I won't go into that now, but if something happens in your reality and you feel negative emotion, like an argument with your spouse or something, well, you are actually having your limiting belief triggered, having some limiting belief triggered, and then you perceive reality as dangerous and you feel fear. And when you do that, you dip into a stream of consciousness based in fear, and you pull up urges and all kinds of thoughts to change the conditions or try to control things. Okay. If that fear is actually based on an illusion, then the fear is not real. That's in the case of a manifestation event with a limiting belief. Now, if you are actually inspired to do something, well, no matter what you're inspired to do, no matter what it is, you will always feel fear. I don't care if it's going to lunch, right? There's something there that's going to say, oh, maybe we don't want to spend the money, or maybe it won't be good, or maybe I don't have time, right? Those are just little fears. And it's based in this limiting belief that says, you can't go and have lunch. It might be a bad idea. And if it's something really inspiring, like start a new business, or, ask for a raise, or go introduce yourself to that person, or take a trip, or whatever it is, fear will always pop up as well. No matter what, fear pops up. And that fear is based on something you think is going to happen in the future, or something that happened in the past and you're worried about that happening again. But if you're inspired to do something, it'll always move you to your highest good. So the fear is just presenting you with an illusion of reality that is not real, and it's based on a limiting belief. So we can process those limiting beliefs, and we'll talk about that later. Okay. When you feel negative emotion, as you attempt to stretch yourself into a new territory, you uncover limiting beliefs. Fear arises, and you feel negative emotion. You're not good enough for what you want. You're not worthy of your desires. You're not smart enough, capable enough, or talented enough to get what you want. And so you feel the wrath of the monster. That wrath, in the form of negative emotion, feels bad. Yet it only feels bad because you're looking at it from a limited perspective. You're calling the monster wrong. Okay. So you feel negative emotion, and you're saying, that thing outside of me, that monster outside of me, makes me feel bad. It could be another person. It could be, this computer not working. It could be something, and you say, that thing outside me makes me feel bad. Well, like we talked about last week, nothing outside of you can make you feel bad. You are choosing a perspective. That perspective, in this case, is limited. It's not in alignment with who you truly are. And so your inner self is sending you the negative emotion. The negative emotion is coming from within. And all positive emotion comes from within as well. Nothing can make you feel good either. It's all made up, right? All feelings come from within. And all feelings are based on your perspective. If you look at things from the limited perspective, you will absolutely get a negative emotion. If you look at it from the higher perspective, you will absolutely feel a positive emotion. Imagine that you are being guided by an angel. You have many desires, some of which were created out of the lack of something. Maybe you lacked appreciation, or success, or fulfilling relationships, or a fit and healthy body. Whatever it is, you perceive that if you could change that situation, you would feel better. And so you wish for the change to come, and in doing that, you are being guided to your desire. The monster, who is really an angel, is guiding you directly to wherever you want to go. It's just that you're not seeing the guidance for what it is. Instead, you are perceiving pain in the form of negative emotion. It's not your fault. That's how you were programmed. Okay, so that's how we're programmed, right? We feel negative emotion. We assume it's something outside of us. We then try and change it, or control the conditions, or control ourselves. And that never works. I mean, it might work temporarily, but in the long term, control is always based in fear, and that can never work. It'll never get you what you want, okay? The negative emotion that you're fearing is actually guidance. It's actually an angel and not a monster. We want to know when we feel negative emotion. We want to know when we feel positive emotion. We want to know what our perspective is. So if you could go along and know that the instant you feel negative emotion, oh, you're just looking at it from a limited perspective. Change your perspective and you'll feel relief. Look at everything from the higher perspective and you'll feel positive emotion more and more. There's more to come. Okay. If you could remove your programming, start over. If you could remove the programming you received in your childhood and replace it with a more empowering outlook, you would not feel negative emotion as you moved outside the confines of your box. You would look at negative emotion in a new way. You would see the information contained in all events, and you would change your definition of right and wrong. You would remove the idea of bad and wrong. Okay, so bad and wrong, that's duality. We talked about that last week. Most humans live in duality. That's good, that's bad, that's right, that's wrong. It's all based in judgment. And you might think something's wrong and someone else might think something's right. How does that work, right? Doesn't work. We're moving to a new approach, and that's the approach of neutrality. Neutrality means simply that nothing is inherently good or bad until we cast our judgment on it. So if we reframe what we once thought was bad or wrong, and we start to look at it from a higher perspective and says, actually, that's not wrong. That's not for me. I'm not wanting to participate in that or attract that, but other people are welcome to it. It may be something that they want to explore. So I'm going to take my focus off of what's bad and wrong. I'm going to reframe it and look at it from a higher perspective, and then I'm going to turn my attention to what I personally prefer. You perceive that the judgment of anything that is bad is what keeps you safe. That's a control mechanism, right? It does not. All it does is keep you trapped inside the very small confines of your box. It does not allow you to easily and effortlessly attract your desires. In fact, it creates the vibration that attracts the life you're living now. If you would like to move beyond the walls of your box, you must change your perception of the monster. You must replace it with a vision of a beautiful, powerful, and loving guiding angel. Okay, so no longer are we going to fear negative emotion. We are now going to understand that it's guidance and that there's information contained every time we feel negative emotion. And the information is pointing to a limiting belief. So we can process that limiting belief, right? And then we can dial down the intensity of these limiting beliefs. And there's great benefits to that. When you start to change your perspective from duality to neutrality, from wrong and bad to seeing things from the higher perspective, you alter your vibration and your entire reality changes. Not instantly, but over a period of time. And as you do this work consistently, analyzing the fear that you feel, realizing it's based in an illusion that's not true, realizing you're out of alignment, and then doing whatever you can do to get back into alignment, whether that's processing limiting beliefs or looking at the subject from a higher perspective, then you'll raise your vibration and you'll begin to attract things that resonate with that new higher vibration. That's how this system works. Okay. Your angel is there not to punish you with negative emotion, but to help you notice how you are perceiving your reality. That's all guidance is. When you feel good, you are perceiving reality as it truly is. And the guidance comes in the form of positive emotions. You are perceiving that things are going well in your life and that this is the reality of the situation. However, when you choose a limited perspective and perceive that something is wrong, someone is wrong, or that things should be different than they are, you receive a bit of negative emotion. Why is that? Because the angel wants you to drop your current perspective and see things in a new light. If you can do that, you will feel relief. Relief is the feeling of alignment. In alignment, you return to the powerful creator of reality that you really are. Cool. Okay. So when you're feeling good, you are looking at your life from the same perspective as your inner self. Your inner self sees everything going perfectly because that's the reality of it. The illusion is that something's wrong, or that you are wrong, or that they're wrong, or something needs to be changed, or you're not worthy, or whatever it is, right? And your inner self is saying, okay, change that perspective. That is not helpful. It's the illusion. Stop buying into that illusion. If you keep buying into that illusion, you're going to attract more of that which you do not want. You're going to act on urges to change conditions. You're going to be doing all the stuff that's created the life that you have now. If you want to create a bigger, bolder, brighter, happier, more fulfilled life, you have to start choosing your perspective. You have to start living in duality, and that is the new approach to life. Okay. When you change your perception of negative emotion from a bad feeling that should not be there to the idea that the emotion is simply an indication of your present perspective, then you change the monster into an angel. The angel is there to guide you. The monster is there to punish you. Well, this is a loving and supportive universe, and you will never be judged for your actions. You are free to be, do, and have anything you want. When you are being in a way that restricts the unfolding of your desires, you will receive negative emotion. When you are reacting in a way that fully aligns with your desires, you'll receive positive emotion. That's how the system works. It's a feedback mechanism. Okay. All right, this is interesting here. When you perceive that things are going well in your life, you know that you feel good, right? When you're like working towards a goal and things are falling in place, you feel good, right? Why is that? Not because things are actually falling in place like you think they should, but because you are aligned with your inner self's perspective that everything is going along perfectly. Now, your inner self, no matter what you think, is never going to change that perspective. It's always going to say everything's going good, right? It's never going to say anything's going wrong. You could be like in the middle of a divorce or a lawsuit or something, and you'd be like looking at it like, this shouldn't be happening. Why is this so difficult? Why is this not working? Your inner self is saying, these are the experiences that you need to get where you intended to go, to understand more about yourself, to go on this journey of self-discovery, to do all these things you intended prior to your birth. All of these obstacles and struggles that you're having are not bad. They're molding you. They're allowing you to expand through the experience, raising your vibration, raising your perspective. You just happen to be suffering along the way, and that's not beneficial, because in that suffering, you'll just lose it. You won't have any access to energy. You'll be trying to control things and changing things and complaining and whining and exploring more of who you're not, more of the stuff you don't want to explore. So the idea here is that the negative emotion is just letting you know what you're doing, how you're being. Are you being in a way that is going to allow everything you want to unfold? Or are you being in a way that's just rolling around in the mud, exploring stuff that you don't like, stuff that you think is bad, okay? That's what emotion is. You start changing your perspective, negative emotion doesn't need to come anymore. Not that you don't want it to come, it just doesn't need to come. That's the whole point. All right, we're almost done here. Okay. Okay, now, it's a feedback mechanism, right? Doesn't the system make sense? If you are feeling good, your vibration is aligned with what you want, and so your dreams are unfolding at the perfect pace in the most elegant manner imaginable. However, if you are feeling negative emotion of any kind, it simply means that your current vibration is not in alignment with what you want. You do not need to figure out how to get what you want. That's the universe's job. All you have to do is manage how you feel. Okay. So creation, we are creators of our reality, and the creation isn't by efforting and struggling and making things happen like we thought that's what you did, right? You didn't go out and tackle the world and make things happen and pave your way. That is not how creation is. Creation is all about managing your vibration. And that really means managing your alignment. Are you feeling good? Well, then you're creating. Are you feeling bad? Well, then you're creating that which you do not want. And the more you feel bad, that builds momentum, and you'll get feedback that shows you how you're creating. The more you feel good, guess what happens? The more inspiration comes, the more ideas you have, the more fun events come to you, the more people come to you, everything comes to you. Now, you may say, okay, well, I want $1 million. And you'll effort and struggle your way to get $1 million, and you can absolutely do that. But will you feel the way you want to feel, or the way you thought you would feel? Will you feel worthy and loved and appreciated and all that? Probably not, right? Now, what happens if you just manage that vibration, keep that vibration high, keep feeling good, and let the universe bring you everything that matches how you feel? That's how you create. Will you create $1 million that way? Maybe, maybe not. That's not the point. Will you create wonderful people, wonderful experiences, good feelings, adventures, new inspiration? Absolutely. That's what we want. We don't want all that stuff, all those trinkets we talked about last week. We want satisfaction. We want creation, energy. We want to go with the flow. We want all our pre-birth intentions to come pouring into our reality. We want to feel good and feel better and feel love. We want to love others. We want to accept ourselves. We want to discover who we truly are. That's what creation's all about. Okay, last sentence here. So then, what happens if you're inspired to take action and this leads you into a situation that brings forth negative emotion? It means that your perspective is off. You are looking at the subject, yourself and or the other people involved in a way that is not the true reality of the situation. You're making up a false story. That story comes as a product of some limiting beliefs stored inside your box. At this point, you have two empowering options. Process the limiting belief and prove that it's false, or change your perspective and tell yourself a new story. As soon as you feel relief, you have done the work necessary to return to an aligned state of being. You are back on the path to receiving that which you've asked for, and you've successfully turned the monster into an angel. With our love, we are Joshua. Okay, so this is a really interesting article here because it actually shows you how creation is done. We have to change how we look at negative emotion. And if we're feeling negative emotion, it's not because of something outside of us is causing us to feel that way. So there's no need to control any of it. We're feeling it because we're choosing a limited perspective. That's all it is. So this is a creation about choosing your perspective, choosing how you see things, choosing what you think is good or what you think is wrong, eliminating the idea that anything could be wrong, realizing that anything that's coming to us is coming for us, and not needing anything to happen in a certain way. You want to let it unfold naturally without you trying to control any of it. Okay, this really talks about our pre-birth intentions. We all intended to express our love mostly to ourselves, to accept ourselves as we are, to express our love to everyone else and accept them as they are, and to express our love to the conditions by accepting the current conditions in this moment as perfect. Nothing needs to change. Okay, that's how we roll with our pre-birth intentions. We also came to experience true abundance and true freedom, not limitation and lack. And we knew that we were going to expand through experiences, but we intended to expand in joy, not in suffering. And this information, Joshua's teachings, really are the end to suffering, because you only suffer by perceiving things as wrong and feeling the negative emotion. If you perceived everything is right and working for you, right, then you would no longer feel negative emotion, you would no longer suffer. That is the end of suffering, by choosing your perspective, realizing that the negative emotion is a gift and not a penalty, and then going with the flow of life. Well, that's the end of this awesome article. I hope you enjoyed it. The things that we get more deeply in here, which is talking about processing limiting beliefs. Processing limiting beliefs is a practice, and you learn that practice in the boot camp. And if you'd like to know more about the boot camp, we're having a new one here coming July 13th. If you're listening to this at a later date, we have one about every 2 weeks. And so the only way to get into the boot camp or to learn anything about it really is to contact me. So send me an email at garybodley@gmail.com, and I will send you some information, and we'll schedule a time to talk on Zoom, just like we're sort of doing now. And then I'll explain the whole detail, see if you are ready for it, which of course you are, because you couldn't have the inspiration, most likely couldn't have the inspiration to contact me if you weren't ready to take a leap in your life. And that leap is not a leap of changing things. It's a leap of learning how the system works and having faith that the universe will deliver to you every single thing you want. It's happening for me. It's happening for those around me that are interested in this stuff and are doing this work. It's happening for now, where I think we're about 150 people have gone through the boot camp. It's changing everyone's life. The thing that I hear most at the end of someone's first boot camp is how they could not imagine not doing the boot camp, right? They couldn't imagine how their life would be. They wouldn't want to go back to that old version of them. You're not going to make you know, it's not going to be too scary. It is exactly the most loving, open, clear, perfect system. It's 8 weeks. You do it with a bunch of people all over the world. It's really fun. And everyone seems to like it. So please send me an email and let's get together. All right. Well, if you like this one, subscribe to this or leave a comment or hit a like on there or share it on Facebook or tell a friend about it, and we'll keep doing these. If you don't like it, well, don't say anything and we may not do these anymore. But I think we will because they're pretty fun and pretty easy. Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.